everybody. Today is Saturday, September 8th, I think, 2018. And today I have on my channel Max from Secular Progressive YouTube channel. And I don't know if Max could hear that. Could you hear what was going on?
Yeah, but I don't really know what it was.
You don't? You're sure you don't? You don't recognize it?
A little bit. Maybe. I don't know. It sounded like warlike.
It's from the movie Gladiator.
Aha!
And they were chanting Maximus.
Oh,
the main character,
yes.
yeah. Russell Crowe, Maximus. Because when you told me your name is Max, I started calling you Maximus.
That's right.
So I was dying to use that clip for this interview. But you don't know that movie? Oh.
Yeah, the Gladiator.
No, it's just Gladiator.
Oh.
And I call it a chick flick because he's always thinking about his dead wife and son. And they did that deliberately for the female audience. Yeah, they actually included, that
makes sense.
Yeah, I love that movie because I'm just weird. So you're not into gladiator movies?
Nah.
So I don't really know that much about you, Max. We did talk a while before this. And all I know about you is that you're a student in college in Nebraska. And I don't know if you want to say which school. I don't know if it's the University of Nebraska, probably.
Yeah, so I go to the University of Nebraska here in Lincoln. And I'm just currently, even outside my dorm room, I'm watching because I'm right outside of the stadium.
Oh, okay.
So everyone in the parking lot next to my building is tailgating and everything.
Oh.
It's a pretty big game. It's actually the first game of the season because the last game last week got rained out. So.
Oh, really?
It's been raining every single day here. It's rained for 9 days straight or something like that. But so it's pretty cold. But I'm definitely on the progressive side. Although I like to stay sort of nonpartisan because I just think that I think that honestly.
Oh yeah, no, that's okay.
When you look at it, because when you look at it, it's like Democrats, Republicans, or even sometimes left versus right. It's just really the same. Two sides of the same coin, really.
Yes and no. Yeah, I think the populist side, there are a lot of similarities between the left and the right. Yeah, mm-hmm. And the parties, the Democrats and the Republicans, I just call it a one-party system, really. Yeah. Yeah,
I know that Jesse Ventura always said we have one more choice than Soviet Russia.
I hate that comparison. It's more like Nazi Germany, really. I think. I don't know. Yeah,
I guess.
I don't know. Sometimes I think that sometimes, I've seen, you're one of the few channels that I will watch regularly, but I have to admit, because I had distractions, I missed your last two videos. No, my bad. So I watched them before I did this because I felt so bad. I got to catch up on my viewing.
It's okay. How do you like them?
No, I like your videos. I got a little upset with one because Holly Seeliger had suggested, and I was big on Holly. You know that.
I remember that. That's how I met you.
Really? Oh yeah, in the chat, I think. Yeah, that's.
Yeah, I always thought that you were a guy, actually.
I come across as a guy online all the time, and dudes, they just think I'm a guy, and so they'll insult me the way a guy will insult another guy. It's because I'm a bitch online. I come across very strong in text. Yeah.
It wasn't until I remember once, because Holly mentioned you, like when she was doing her live stream. Then she was like, "Oh, I see, BB Hammer's in the chat," and then she was like, "Oh yeah, like I love her or whatever," and I was like, "Oh,
did she say that?"
Yeah, or something like that.
Yeah, actually,
along those lines.
Yeah, that's why I'm really disappointed with Holly. I really liked Holly, and she was a Facebook friend, and online, you're not really friends or whatever. You don't really know people unless you know them in person.
Right.
But, you can form a lot of very strong relationships online. And we had a strong relationship. We did. And I kind of looked at her like the daughter I never had. I don't have any kids. And I was very supportive. I helped to promote her channel. I was really... And, I donated regularly. Oh, yeah, I was helping her a lot. So I'm really disappointed in Holly now. I mean, I don't know. It just seems...
I still think that she makes important videos here and there, though.
Yeah, I'm not saying that it's all bad. It's just that she makes a point of not offending people who support Trump. That's the problem.
And I think that a big problem is when you start making a Patreon and all that, and you start making it more of like a full-time job instead of a hobby, you're focused on the money. So I think that's a big part of it. She has a lot of her patrons or Trump supporters or people who lean right.
Before.
So she doesn't want to offend them. And that's right. It's because a lot of people, I think, were attracted to her channel because of the Russiagate lie, because a lot of people looked to her as a progressive who was against the Russiagate lie.
Yeah. But now she won't. I've watched, she makes a point of not criticizing Trump. She'll criticize things that are happening with the Trump administration. This is what a lot of Trump supporters, I know, maybe I sound bad saying this, but they kind of they will never blame Trump. But the buck stops there. He's the president now. And what I say is he's just a male version of Hillary Clinton now. Or worse, maybe, I don't know.
Yeah, I always think that, they're like the same person, no matter who's in office, I feel like the same policies get put forward. And I think that Trump, the reason, I don't really even criticize Trump that much because I just view him as the symptom to the real illness that we're suffering. So that's why I don't really like attacking the symptom, Trump. I just like to go after the illness.
Yeah, I never got upset about Trump personally. I was not, because he's just one of the elite, and that's just the way they are. But I will criticize him because he's the president, So ultimately, he's responsible. That's the way it is. So, and it's, I'll give him credit. I think sometimes he does try to fight back against the neocons like John Bolton. But unfortunately, he appointed John Bolton. Sometimes you can see that Trump's kind of fighting the warmongering about North Korea. But ultimately, he caves in to the neocons. To me, I don't know how you see it. If that's
I always say that. I always said that because right after he got elected. I remember even Alex Jones once said, if he appoints somebody like John Bolton, we know that 100% he's not our guy. He's completely terrible.
Yeah,
and then here, I haven't seen Alex Jones saying anything really that bad about him. But, I mean, as soon as Trump put John Bolton in there, I knew that he was 100% controlled, 100% full of crap, not going to help us out.
No.
I mean, that was his decision to put him in. John Bolton, everyone knows that he is the worst warmonger.
Oh, yeah. He's bad when the CIA says he's crazy. That's bad. Yeah. Yeah, that's true. So
I remember even Tucker Carlson was debating John Bolton on his show.
Oh, yeah.
Did you see that?
Yeah, Tucker Carlson is good sometimes, yeah.
Yeah.
And there are people on the traditionally left, but they're kind of fake left sometimes. They'll say, oh, Fox News, like there's nothing good on Fox News. Well, no, sometimes Tucker Carlson's good. And so sometimes Fox News is better than CNN or MSNBC. Sometimes.
I'd say that because they have Tucker Carlson on, and Tucker Carlson tells the truth like 10% of the time, I say that that's more truth than you're going to find on any other network. Like CNN doesn't do that, MSNBC doesn't do that. Because Tucker Carlson, most of his show is complete crap, but then he has the few times where he's talking about Syria, the Russiagate lie. He's talking about... I don't know, the whole, like, when he's going after Bolton and the warmongers, then he's, like, actually good. Yeah. Or he even went after Jeff Bezos recently.
Really? Okay.
Yeah.
I don't really follow, I really don't follow mainstream media very much,
Neither do I.
I only know if somebody says, oh, yeah, okay, I didn't know that. And I don't follow the party politics that much. People think I'm a Democrat. People think sometimes I'm a Democrat because I don't go after the Democrats. I don't talk about them because I just, I'm done with them now. I was really disgusted in 2016. That's it. I'm gone. That's it. So I don't even pay attention to them. It's only when somebody brings up something, a race that's going on. Okay, fine. So that's why they'll look at my channel and they think, oh, you're a Democrat, or because I don't criticize them. I'm going, no, they're too obvious to me to criticize.
Exactly. I get that a lot. Also, for some reason, I also get that I'm a right-winger. Like, whenever I'm, like, just commenting on people's videos, or sometimes people comment on my videos like, oh, you're a right-winger.
Yeah.
You're a Trump supporter.
Yeah.
And I'm like, okay, because I don't go after them enough.
Yeah.
Or don't go after... Like, I guess I don't go after that many right-wingers, but I tend to focus on people that are on the left because I find that the fake left is more annoying than the real right, I guess.
Yeah. There's a lot of fake going on the left. I'm going to show your channel so that people can see. So... The videos I missed were the CNN slams Trump comments on South Africa as white supremacists and will calling out Zionism stop genocide. So I thought that I was kind of worried about the South Africa thing. I don't really know enough about that, but I thought you handled it well. Trump was just saying that, nobody should be treated that way. It doesn't matter what race you are, but if you're defending white people, they think you're a white supremacist or something.
Exactly. And I really don't think that Trump's even helping the situation at all by even talking about it, because like whenever he talks about something, that becomes so polarized. Like whatever he takes issue on, he just makes it worse. So. But
what's crazy?
I did the other one last night.
Yeah, I noticed that, but I watched them both today because I had missed. But you do come across like I'm just looking at your thumbnails, and this is why I used to joke that you kind of had the Hitler Youth look because of the haircut. And you're talking a lot about Zionism, so people are going to think, oh, this guy's a Nazi.
I will say that I'm a socialist, but I'm not a national socialist.
I know. But you've only done your channel for a year, right?
Yeah.
So do you remember when you started actually doing videos?
Yeah, it was late July of 2017.
Oh, okay. So it's just a little over a year. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, I got started because I always watched the same progressive, Debbie Lusignan, and then she was always telling everyone, like, I can't be the only one doing this. Make channels, everyone. So I was like, okay, fine, I'll make a channel. Yeah. So I made one.
Yeah, but I think you must be... What's funny is we have around the same sub count. But I think you've done well because you don't really put out a lot of videos.
Yeah, not many.
Yeah, but I think you've done well. And I would say that's because people are finding you credible, you know, on
Thank
camera.
you.
Yeah. So I think that's not bad since you just kind of, doing the casual video. Because there are channels that have been around longer and they don't have that kind of sub count. Yeah. And it's because they're not credible. I'm just saying. So.
But yeah, I definitely don't really post that much content. Only when I can, because I'm always just like doing homework or studying or working or whatever. So it's like only when I can find time. And like a lot of times at the very end of the day when it's been raining and stuff, I just look like complete crap. So I'm like, I'm not going to go on camera today.
I know, it's stupid. I didn't really like being on camera at all because that's why at first I was just using my my little frog Zen guy thing because I wasn't comfortable being on camera, but people want you on camera, so okay, here I am, warts and all.
Yeah, people like that.
Yeah, I don't know. It sucks.
Yeah, it's just so annoying how I get so many people just calling me either a Trump supporter or, white supremacist or anything. It's like I've always been on more of the left side of politics. Like, I was always very sympathetic to third-party causes, third-party left-wing causes like the Green Party and all that. Although I was involved with Young Democrats for a really long time just because I had a lot of friends that were involved in Young Democrats. Sure. So I was always involved in that, but I've always been on the left side of politics.
Yeah. Well, is your family generally left-leaning? Yeah.
Yeah, all of my like grandparents, great-grandparents, great-aunts, and great-uncles, they're all like retired from the DNC and stuff. So they've all been in like the Democratic Party.
Oh, they've been in the party. Oh.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
So are your parents in the party or sort of? No, they're not.
They just like my mom is technically she's a registered Democrat, but she voted for Trump actually.
Oh, that's interesting. Okay.
Yeah, and then my dad is more of just like a libertarian, but I think that he doesn't really. He's kind of gone back and forth, but he's definitely never been a fan of like Trump.
Really? Oh, that's interesting. Why did your mom vote for Trump, or do you know? Or
she because like her family originates from Western Pennsylvania, so they've seen a lot of things happening with trade, and she liked Trump's rhetoric regarding trade. Being anti-NAFTA, being for fair trade, being for like the steel workers, and
was she from around her family Pittsburgh area or something like that?
Yep. Yeah, she's from Pittsburgh. Yeah, and also Pittsburgh, West Virginia, stuff like that.
Yeah, my family. Okay. Are they West Virginia even? Like that? With the Northern Panhandle maybe or something like that?
Yeah, Morgantown.
Oh, Morgantown. Oh, okay. Yeah. Okay. Yeah, because my parents are both from West Virginia. So that's that's where German. I gotta say, Guten Tag, mein Schatz.
What was it? Is it Das der Hammer?
Yeah. To say awesome in Germany now is Hammer. Or that's awesome. Das ist der Hammer. Oh, yeah. There was a German commented on one of my videos and said, remarkably good pronunciation. I go, okay, good. They gave me a thumbs up. I speak Dutch. But it kind of, so it's, the problem is Dutch sounds a lot, it's definitely Germanic, but the pronunciation is the G's are not a hard G, and in Dutch they're like, instead of, in German you'll say Guten Morgen, and in Dutch it's Goeiemorgen. Goeiemorgen. That's very different.
I've noticed
they look similar in writing, but the pronunciation, that's why sometimes I'm a little off. I won't pronounce like you say Guten Morgen, and the Dutch, they drop the N at the end of words like that because it's fast. You can talk faster if you don't have Guten Morgen. Takes longer. It's harder to say than Goeiemorgen. Stuff like that.
I watch some Dutch videos on YouTube,
Oh,
And
yeah.
then, like, the whole entire time, they're always just like,
Yeah.
like,
Yeah. And the word for history is geschiedenis. So you got and you got yeah, and the Amsterdam airport is Schiphol, Schiphol, Schiphol. Yeah, so it's not it's a hard language for English speakers. The French find it impossible to speak Dutch. Yeah,
wow.
that's why in Belgium, the French speaking, the Walloons, they don't learn Dutch, which is Flemish. You know, people, it's Flemish in Belgium. It's just Belgian Dutch. And then, but the Dutch speakers were always resented the fact that they had to learn French. And it wasn't fair. It wasn't fair. And it's a fun language. And my pronunciation, my accent must be pretty good because when I've gone to Holland, they had no problem speaking Dutch to me, and normally they would switch instantly to English if they thought you were an English speaker. So they don't with me. And a guy listened to me once and he said, "Oh, you sound like you were born and raised in Holland, but you've been living in maybe Australia." So they think I'm just visiting. They think I'm a Dutch person who's just visiting. So that's pretty good. But you get to know the country better if you speak the language. And there's a lot of most of the signage is good in Holland in English. It's a little off sometimes, like in Amsterdam, when you arrive, it says, "Welcome in Amsterdam," rather than "Welcome to." So their English is a little off. And sometimes if there's a change in the train schedule, they only post it in Dutch. So if you can't read Dutch, you don't know that you're going to miss your train because there's been a schedule change. So stuff like that. Yeah, but I'm mostly German. My background, family background, but old from centuries ago. So is your family on both sides German, probably?
No, actually, my dad's German, but my mom is actually Italian.
Oh,
Yeah, she's from her family's from Abruzzi or whatever, and Abruzzo or something.
Yeah,
it's on the it's like a section on the southern east side, like kind of middle south east side of Italy.
Is it Abruzzi?
That's where they're from.
Abruzzi, or I can't remember.
I think it's that.
Abruzzi, yeah, I don't know.
Oh. Yeah, and I'm slightly related to Al Capone too.
I can see it. So you're kind of like a Italian Hitler Youth. Oh, you're like Mussolini.
Yeah.
You're like a mix of the fascist regime and the Nazi regime.
And Mussolini was once a socialist.
I know, that's why people on the right are saying the fascists were socialists. Like, come on. Jesus. So what year are you in?
A senior.
Oh, really? Oh.
Yeah. Getting ready to hopefully ship out this year, but we'll see how this two semesters go.
So you got two more semesters. You got this semester and the next semester.
Mm-hmm.
And what is your major?
Finance.
Oh, wow. So did you have to take a lot of different business courses in different areas too? Yeah, but then you're specializing in finance.
Mm-hmm. And then I also took a few courses like outside of it for like electives, like writing course and history of rock and roll and stuff. I just like my writing course because it got really political. So we had like a whole class where we just like talked politics, and I made everyone mad.
I was going to ask you about that, how your politics goes over on campus there.
It's very, very liberal here because Lincoln is a liberal city in Nebraska, and the campus itself is pretty liberal. So, and I'm pretty involved with all the political like organizations and stuff that goes on here. There's a new socialist organization on campus too, and that's pretty fun. They have little events here and there, so I get involved with those. But Really, it's nothing huge. There's not like a lot of huge protests. Last year, there was a big deal because there was like a white nationalist student that got
Oh,
like ran out of the university. So that was like a really big deal.
yeah, because you did some video. Was it about that? It was that. I remember it. That was good. That was interesting. Where
Yeah, so
they,
we have rallies
yeah,
like that.
so they want to censor any opinions like that, or yeah, if you don't fall in line.
Right. The
Really?
university did kind of stick behind the student. They stuck by him, but the students basically just ran him out. So he just left anyways because he had to be walking around with security guards. Everyone knew
That's
his face.
why.
We actually, even to this day, there was like thousands of shirts printed out that says like "Hate will never win," and everyone wears those like every Wednesday. So like when I go around campus, there's like every third person wears like this black "Hate will never win" shirt because of him. So everyone, yeah, we all just like chased him out. I didn't participate in
Yeah.
that, but everyone just chased him out. It was horrible.
So you were the minority of people who, but they all wanted him off campus. Like I don't
Yeah, they
remember
all wanted to
what was he
expel him.
saying? What was he saying that was so? Or do you
So the
remember?
the thing that they say that they got him on was that he did an interview or something like that on YouTube where it was
Oh,
like cut and edited to look
oh
like
shoot!
he was advocating violence, but he's
Oh,
actually nonviolent. But
yeah.
he was actually debating some like actual like Nazi skinheads. So he was
Mm.
sympathizing with them, and he was like, "Listen," he was like, "I like violence too. However,
Oh,
we have to like be we can't like be like punching people or anything. We have to stay nonviolent." But they just cut and edited it to make him
oh,
saying like, "Oh, I love violence" and all this.
but he said he likes violence.
Like,
Or
yeah, but
what
I
was he
mean,
saying?
like,
Just
I guess
like,
that maybe like I don't know, like I play Call of Duty, so I could say
oh,
I do
okay,
too.
yeah,
But it's
okay, yeah,
like
yeah.
they made him look like a terrorist basically, and
Oh shoot!
like if you watch the whole video, it would be it was so obvious. I watched the whole video. It was so obvious that it was
Yeah,
that
edited.
he
Yeah,
was
yeah.
nonviolent.
Oh. So there's not much tolerance for like so you have to be, is it like fake left, the atmosphere there, would you say fake left
Yeah,
in
yeah. It's
in that
it's
they
all
want
about elections. It's all about we need to
right
vote
now?
blue.
Oh yeah,
It's
right
all
now. Yeah,
blue
yeah.
wave
Oh yeah,
because
yeah.
we have the 2018 elections coming up, and
Yes.
I've been offered a couple times to help on a few like campaigns, which they
Hmm.
pay $15 an hour. So I'm like, hey,
Oh, I see.
it's pretty
Really?
good.
They are
Yeah,
paying you $15 an hour to work for a
yeah.
campaign?
And it's just like for like the mayor, stuff like that.
Really? Just a,
Hmm.
you're like volunteering, but you're getting paid?
Yeah,
Really?
it's like a phone, yeah, like phone banking and stuff.
You're kidding.
Yeah, yeah, it's really good.
That's weird. That shows you there's a lot of money in politics. I have
Hmm.
never experienced that.
Yeah,
No. Yeah, that
I know
tells
that.
me. Yeah.
Like, let's see, and we also have Warren Buffett here. I know that he
Right.
doesn't donate a whole lot to campaigns, but he does donate like $5,000 here and there to some Democratic campaigns and
Right.
stuff.
Yeah, I forgot about Buffett being there. Yeah.
Mm. Well, he's in Omaha, but same area.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, because I was telling you before we started that, well, I had never been to Nebraska before, but I drove across back in 2015. Yeah, and so it was interesting. Oh, so speaking of that, I told you we were talking before we started that when I was in Nebraska 3 years ago, I came across a progressive newspaper called Prairie Fire. I have it on the screen, the website, and I sent you the link. And you weren't familiar with it, but I'm sure it didn't have a lot of. It's an interesting website, and uh, there's an item here I have on the screen. No home on the range, climate change, and the Buffalo Commons. So they were trying to, restore the buffalo to the plains in Nebraska, because that's perfect environmentally is just having rangeland with buffalo. And one of your videos, one of your best videos, actually, because I like the music that you picked. Wait a minute, I'll find it. Hang on.
It's the music's actually from Legend of Zelda, like the video game.
Yeah. So it's a buffalo herd. Yeah, it's this. I'm just showing it here. Buffalo herd. How do you pronounce that? Hyrule?
Yeah, Hyrule Field.
Hyrule
That's like
Field?
the song. Mm.
That's a song? Or what? I'm sorry.
Yeah, it's like because in the video game Legend of Zelda, there's like a field that you can go into called Hyrule Field. It's like right by the castle.
That's where you got. Okay.
And then that's a song that they play as soon as you enter the field. It starts playing that song.
Yeah, I like that. It's very dramatic. And
like the fields remind me just of the video game.
Okay, yeah, it's very lush looking. And you just came across those buffalo. They were grazing. What, were you driving along or something?
Yeah, so
it was in Nebraska, right? In Nebraska.
So we went out to western Nebraska, my family last year, and we were just like there, kind of just like looking to see what's up, taking a mini vacation. We also went north, also to South Dakota. We saw Mount Rushmore. My mom has a cousin that lives up there, so we saw her. And then, so we were just like up in the western Nebraska area, and that's where you can actually see buffalo.
Oh, that's neat, yeah. Because it's really a shame that they were practically killed off. I guess they're kind of coming back, but the gene pool must have been diminished dramatically.
Yeah.
So there isn't that. And unfortunately, I think they were trying to breed them, and they sort of were trying to breed out the wild nature in them and make them more like cattle and very docile or something. I don't know if you know anything about that. That it's kind of yeah. So, but those were wild buffalo that were just grazing there. That it was a wild herd.
But they tend to like keep them confined in like a really big open space. So like eventually there'll probably be like a fence or whatever. But like they get like a huge amount of space to roam like miles
they're big
and
animals.
stuff.
Yeah.
But they like to keep them confined so they can actually, because if they go out wherever, like, because there's just not a lot of them, so they need to keep them in one area.
Yeah, it's really sad, the story of the buffalo. And it was such an integral part of the culture of the plains. And I'm going to say Indians, but, indigenous people. The Lakota, I guess. Yeah, and they were, I think the Lakota were actually more of an Eastern people. And then they got the horses. They got a hold of horses that the Spaniards, I guess, had left, that had gotten loose and went wild. So then the Lakota, they were able to travel further east into the plains, and then their culture developed into depending on the buffalo. And that was how they lived. They survived on buffalo. That was everything.
Right.
And they had like a ritual. I saw once on TV when they would shoot a buffalo, they were very respectful, and they would shoot and they would sort of thank the buffalo or something. And other buffalo, they would let the other buffalo kind of grieve over the body carcass of the dead buffalo they killed. So, well, it was a really healthy lifestyle. I think they're trying to restore that a little bit. The horse riding and that culture, because it's a healthy lifestyle for sure. Healthier than living in poverty on a reservation, Yeah,
I've driven through those reservations a lot. Yeah. They are the most poverty-stricken areas. Like I went through Mission, South Dakota not too long ago. Mm-hmm. Oh my gosh, it is just so sad. Like the nasty conditions that some people live in. And it's just so sad to see that because, at one time their ancestors were, gracing the fields and it was so nice. And now it's like the worst aspects of American culture, like the kind of consumerism that you see with like, their clothing and it's and all that. It's like they lost all aspects of their culture and like their conditions that they live in. It's very consumerism. There's like a lot of aspects of that. Yeah. But there's also just their conditions are very terrible. Mm-hmm. And also the cigarettes. That's a big problem there. Everyone's addicted to cigarettes and other drugs, and also alcohol addiction is really bad too.
Yeah.
So it's the worst aspects of American culture you can imagine in one place.
Yeah. So it's not really much better in Canada. You know, people think everything's better in Canada. So the indigenous people have been treated terribly in Canada, and so there's been a cycle of abuse and domestic violence from the residential schools. They took kids away from the families and basically were just trying to destroy the culture and the language and all the abuse. And so when they go back to their families, there's this cycle of abuse and domestic violence and substance abuse. It's really sad. So it's really not better in Canada. It isn't really. But there's a larger percentage of the population is indigenous in Canada. I think that's maybe the only difference, really. I don't know. But
that's right.
It's sad. It's just sad. It's bad. Yeah.
Native American rights is a pretty big issue. Not really so much in Nebraska, but definitely in North and South Dakota here. That's all the politicians are always talking about Native American rights and all that in North and South Dakota.
Yeah, and they like put pipelines through their land too, right? I mean, they do that in Canada too. It's like, okay, it's not really your land. Here comes the pipeline.
What wasn't it a Canadian company too that was putting Keystone in or something?
Oh yeah. I think that's I think and then that was a Canadian company. Yeah. Canada is very dependent on its fossil fuel industry. Yeah, and they control the government, so they are bound and determined to get all these pipelines through, and it makes no sense in the long term. It just doesn't. That's not good. Yeah, so Canada is just little America, really. And yeah, I mean, there is the universal health care, so people aren't as likely to go bankrupt or anything, but they've been chipping away at the coverage in Canada. It's by province, so the coverage varies province to province. And people tend to have to, if they're lucky, have supplemental private insurance to cover things that the government doesn't cover. So it's a little bit better, but Canada tends to follow the example of the U.S., so there's this pressure to privatize. Yeah.
It's really horrible because then you get to the point where we're at in the U.S., where the insurance industry is so big that no one wants to touch it because they say, oh, there's just so many jobs there. We have universal health care. Then what happens to the insurance industry, which is like so big? It's like, well, that's the problem. It's just so big, it has so much control, and it's all about insurance. When insurance
profit
is pretty horrible. I mean, like, you pay so much for your insurance only to get denied coverage.
Yeah, and then they have so many huge deductibles and things like that. Yeah, like, in case people forget, I'm a Virginian. I'm in Canada, but I have dual citizenship, so it's kind of nice to see two sides, and so I can see the differences. Yeah, I appreciate a lot of things, the differences being in Canada. I understand the American Revolution so much better now because we're sort of going back to the monarchy again. It seems like what the revolution was fought for. So I appreciate that American Revolution so much now, what that was about, because we still have the monarchy here controlling things, really. Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah. So I don't know. What else? We were talking a lot before we even started. I was, we're kind of wasting this. We should. Okay, so you're doing finance. And why did you decide to do that? Because you would be more likely to find a job in finance? I'm just wondering.
Well, I always wanted to do history and then
Yeah.
become like a history teacher or something.
Yeah.
But I also liked architecture, so I also thought about being an
Oh.
architect. But I've always had an affinity for
Okay.
mathematics.
Yeah.
So my parents pushed me towards more finance-oriented stuff. And at first, I was also thinking about engineering.
Yeah.
However, it just
Mm.
seemed kind of really boring to me, so I decided on finance instead. So that's what I'm
Do
doing
you think
now.
that's more exciting?
I mean, it's all right, but at least we talk about politics more in finance, I guess, with
Really?
all the things
You
that are going
do?
on. And
Oh.
I'm in an investment club, and they always talk about like what's going on in the current, like financial world and stuff, and
Oh,
political
okay.
world, and how that
Yeah.
affects finance. And so I get to learn a little bit about that,
Yeah,
but
yeah, yeah.
it's, I guess, more political than engineering.
So, have you in your courses talked about the financial crisis, like in 2008 or 2007?
So.
That's, I guess, no, not really. Okay.
No, everyone
Really?
just kind of, because I guess it's kind of it was like a decade ago now. So maybe at first, like a couple of years ago, they did, but now
Oh, really?
we just kind of, yeah, we're
Oh,
always just talking about like what's going on with Amazon and what's going on with Tesla
uh-huh.
and all that. But
Oh.
yeah, I'm probably one of the only progressives in there actually.
I would say so, yeah. So, I studied international affairs as an undergrad, and then I did some post grad in foreign, like just different foreign affairs. So my specialty was sort of like Soviet and East European foreign policy, but I studied French and Russian in college. Have you taken any languages? I'm just nosy.
In high school, I took Spanish, so I know a
Okay.
little bit of Spanish.
Yeah.
But other than that, no. My mom knows. She knows like French and a bit of Italian,
Oh, good.
and then my dad knows Spanish, a
Oh,
bit of German, and a bit of French as well. But I just really know English and a little bit of Spanish,
yeah. But you don't have that
unfortunately.
requirement. See, they have gradually, used to be when you're in college, you had a foreign language requirement. That was normal.
Yeah.
And they've kind of eliminated that from college and university degree requirements now. Yeah.
They have that in the arts and sciences schools, but
Yeah.
they don't have that in the business schools. So that was one of the
Mm-hmm.
reasons why I wanted to be in the business school, was that I didn't have to take a language course, because from my experiences with language courses and my brother
Mm.
and his experiences with college language courses, he was like,
Oh,
yeah, I
yeah.
mean, you don't
Yeah.
really get to learn the language or anything. It's kind of like
Yeah.
a waste of time. It's kind of hard. They make it as hard as possible to try to fail you. I was like, I'm not doing that. So
Really?
at least
Oh,
that's what they do in my school. But
okay.
yeah, they're kind of hard on the students, and they say, oh, even though this is intro to Spanish or French or whatever, everyone has to speak Spanish or French in the classroom.
What?
Otherwise,
Oh.
yeah, it's crazy. It's like, this is
Uh,
an intro class. Why? So then
oh,
they make
that's
you like
weird.
study so much on your own time,
Yeah.
and it's like I could be actually using this time to devote myself toward my actual major.
Yeah. Yeah.
And you're just gonna forget about it when you're done with the class, anyways.
Yeah, I'm very critical. I will have to agree with you. I'm very critical of a lot of the language instruction, the way they teach it. I've taught a little bit, and I believe in practical application. And I saw an example. There's a method of teaching where they are, stand up, sit down, do this, do that. So it's a practical application of the language, and you do need to be literate in a language. But I think I've learned the most from living the language. Yes. Yeah. So I never really learned to speak it, be conversant in like French until I went to Quebec and was fully immersed and not so much in the classroom, but just living, yeah, and interacting and doing your banking and whatever. You just learn it because you have to. And my Dutch comes back right away when I've gone to Holland and I'm there and I'm seeing the signage and I'm hearing people, and bit by bit the vocabulary comes back that I've forgotten. Like, oh, okay. Yeah. So I don't like, yeah, yeah, I would agree with you. In college and university, the way they teach is not really a good natural, because you can pick up, I learned Dutch in 15 weeks.
Wow.
Mm-hmm. It was like a Berlitz every day with, there was just one other student, and I had two different teachers. One was from, let's see, no, they were both from Holland. One was married to a Belgian. And yeah, so and people think, oh, kids can learn faster. No, that's not true. That's another fallacy. People think kids learn it more naturally and with less, but adults, because adults have already learned one language and mastered one language, adults can pick up another language like that. Yeah, so 15 weeks Dutch. Yeah. So you get to a certain level. So I got to a level where I could read like articles, opinion pieces. So like if a straight news report, people don't understand there's different levels of language. So most Americans probably have like around a level 1 knowledge of Spanish, because there's some Spanish around. So level 2, you can understand straight facts, news reports, or watching a program where they're just talking about facts, no opinion. Level 3, which is what I got to in Dutch after 15 weeks, is where there's opinion. And I believe in practical learning of language. So
yeah, same here.
I can see why. Yeah. So you're better off just kind of watching YouTube videos or traveling, and
that's honestly, that's way better than learning in a classroom, at least a college classroom.
It depends on the teacher, and the method and what they're doing. Yeah, I would agree. Yeah. So actually, I studied accounting. I worked briefly as an accountant, so I had to take a lot of business courses. So I was taking like international marketing, international finance, and international accounting. The international stuff is good in business. It's very interesting. Yeah. So I enjoyed the finance. Yeah, it was interesting. But we did talk about the financial crisis, and it was happening at the time when I was taking these courses. Yeah, that was interesting. The whole meltdown was happening while I was taking that course. Yeah.
Yeah. That was a pretty big. That was pretty big. I remember that because of how many like foreclosures there were. Everyone was talking about this foreclosure and that foreclosure, and it just seemed like everything was coming to a screeching halt. And honestly, we really never got out of it. I feel like a lot of people's lives were just changed so much after that. And standard of living has gone down so much. Yeah. We all act like we're so past the financial crisis.
No.
But people are still living in extreme poverty, and when they were actually doing maybe not even that much better, but at least somewhat better beforehand, because the standard of living was better.
Yeah, no, there has been no real recovery, I don't think. Yeah, like, I mean, I still travel to the U.S., at least once. I mean, I'm in the U.S. a lot because I cross the border. I'm right on the border. So, and then I travel back east to see my family like once a year. I'm going in October. Yes. So I'll be there next month. Yes. And so I can see what's going on. And there's been no recovery that I can see. And people are really struggling. Yeah. So.
I mean, just look at the Rust Belt.
Yeah. Yeah. And that's why Trump won.
That's right. It's funny because Trump's message was "Make America Great Again." I think that everyone with a brain understood what that meant. A lot of people were saying, "Oh, that means that he wants to like bring back the KKK." It's no. When people hear that message, they know exactly what you're talking about. Yeah, they're talking about, we had good jobs. The standard of living was really good. Now it's crap. People understood that. And then Hillary's message was basically, America's already great. Let's just keep it. Let's just keep the ship where it is.
Yeah.
We're doing just fine.
Incrementalism, if even that. Yeah. So after, it was actually because Make America Great Again is about bringing back the middle class and a middle class standard of living. And that was really only like after World War II until the 70s, really. That was it. So, yeah, I saw that. I was a kid in the 60s, so I remember, yeah. And then the Vietnam War was really bad, but I guess the economy was okay. And Johnson introduced Medicare. Yeah, so that was very good. My grandmother, she benefited from that. Yeah, Medicare. And then things started going down in the 70s, and then Reagan came along, and that really, it's especially since Reagan is when things really, that trickle down economics, it doesn't work. It doesn't trickle down, it trickles up. Yeah.
Exactly. People are just going to, and we see this with like Jeff Bezos, how he's the richest person that's ever lived, but he still pays his employees poverty wages. It's like people aren't going to want to share their wealth. It's just not what happens. It's not what billionaires do. They tend not to, things tend not to trickle down.
Yeah, and people buy into that too. I was listening, I'm in Canada, but I was really disgusted. I had a yard sale, and there were a couple of guys, and they were criticizing the local city employees. They're working, they're not under pressure. They're making a good living, good benefits, and yet they're buying into the propaganda that the bosses are the ones who know. And I argued with these guys. They were basically arguing for, I said, what the goal is? Slave wages. No, slavery, slave labor. They were buying into the argument that the bosses know, the workers have to work hard for what they earn, and, and it's sad when you see ordinary people buying into this argument and criticizing public employees and what they make. That's what everybody should be making. And they're arguing for slave labor. That's what I told them. And they're going, what? And they said, I was talking to a businessman. Would you hire these public employees? These guys, when ordinary people argue for the boss, oh God, it's disgusting. And they admire billionaires, people admire, because they know they're so much smarter than us. What are you talking about? And Jeff Bezos, he's, it's CIA Incorporated, really, I think it's Amazon supplies the Pentagon with a lot of stuff.
I've heard something about that. I remember, I think it was on the Jimmy Dore show where they were talking about the CIA's connections with Bezos.
Yeah, well, Washington Post, he got.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. But yeah, like the whole thing is just crazy to me. How you find so many ordinary people basically like fighting for the corporations now, and even with this whole immigration debacle is a perfect example of this. Because we have corporations who want mass immigration in an effort to have basically slave labor, so they can have these immigrants working for absolutely nothing, and so these immigrants don't really benefit. The people who had those jobs before that are now unemployed aren't benefiting, obviously. But now this issue is so polarized as to, but if you're against immigration, then you're a racist. Mm-hmm. So then you have the left arguing for the corporations. Mm-hmm. It's a total crap.
Yeah, and these guys that I was talking to, they, I could tell they were anti-immigrant. But they weren't understanding that, your enemy isn't the immigrant. It's the guy at the top who's manipulating the two sides. They don't get that. And one of the same guys, he was arguing about, he was spewing all this hateful stuff about Muslims. And he said, I know damn well he was lying. He said, I lived in the Middle East and they want all us infidels dead. I'm going, I don't think you lived in the Middle East. And he was saying, have you read the Quran? I studied the Quran. I said, yeah, sure you studied the Quran. No. And he's saying, you know what the Quran says? And I'm going, have you read the Bible? I know damn well he'd never read the Quran and he'd never lived in the Middle East, but they'll lie when they argue. I know people, they'll just lie and say, oh, I've lived in the Middle East. I know Muslims. I said, yeah, I know Muslims. And they're not saying what you're saying, okay?
Exactly. This whole preoccupation with Islam and the Quran is really Zionism.
I know, and I told him he's being manipulated. This is what they want you to do. And he was saying, well, I heard Osama bin Laden claim responsibility for 9/11. Oh, and I said, yeah, you understand Arabic then? Or something. He said, no, he spoke English. I'm going, I don't think so. But I could tell this. Yeah, come on. It's sad when it's just ordinary people spewing this propaganda.
Exactly. It's like corporations and Zionists basically use the ordinary person as their pawns to do what they want.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I see it all the time. It's so sick. A lot of people. And then a lot of people are just afraid to, I guess, like criticize Israel or whatnot, because they say, "Oh, I don't want to be anti-Semitic." It's like, come on, it's like this like propaganda, and you see this in the news media.
Yeah,
how the news media spews this propaganda to make the ordinary person work for the Zionists, for the corporations, for the military-industrial complex.
Yeah, Zionism is just an ideology. It's not Judaism. People think. Zionism is Judaism. No, it's not Judaism. And I try to avoid the term anti-Semitic because I keep pointing out Arabs are Semites too. So
yes.
So I will say anti-Jewish, to be very clear. But, even the people in Israel are being manipulated and fear-mongered. They're brainwashed there. And I think there's definitely a segment where there's a peace movement and they know what's going on and they're being terrorized by their own government.
There's a lot of Orthodox Jews who absolutely hate Zionism.
Yeah, because it's against Judaism. They're, it's really bad. So I know I think things are very scary and tense right now with the hysteria over Russia, and they're trying hard to undermine the peace process in North Korea. And now they're trying to stir up trouble again in Iraq even, because Iran's got too much influence there and in Syria. So, there's some very dangerous in Israel, attacking Syria openly and then threatening to attack Iraq. And they are really trying hard to start World War III. And I don't know if I've ever seen things this bad before. The whole war machine is so big. And
so many countries, it seems like, now I want to go into war with Syria. We want to go into war in Iran now, North Korea, trying to warmonger there, and all these other countries. And it's so crazy. And it's like you find Zionist aspects around all of this with, the hatred of Iran, Zionism, the hatred of Palestinians, and, calling everyone a Hamas terrorist, that's Zionism. And then the Zionist aspects around the hatred of Syria too. It's crazy.
Yeah, and they're trying to regime change in Iran and install this cult group, which I remember from decades ago. They were terrorists. They are terrorists, and they were responsible for a lot of bombings in Iran. And the Iranian, I have a lot of Iranian friends. The Iranian government is far from perfect, but the Islamic Revolution was like a social revolution. So a lot of ordinary people and people in lower incomes were actually better off with the Islamic Revolution. the alternative would be far worse. Some puppet regime, neoliberalizing, privatizing, and impoverishing people. Once again, great.
Exactly.
And people think regime change is just about war, but they tried a regime change in Venezuela and Nicaragua, and it's more subtle.
Well, we try to kill the Venezuelan president.
Yeah, that was pretty shocking.
That was very recently.
Yeah.
I know that Coca-Cola even had their own death squads, right, in South America back in the late 90s, early 2000s.
Yeah.
Killing labor union leaders or whatever.
Yeah. Anybody, yeah. I mean, that's...
Yeah, it's like everyone wants to boycott Chick-fil-A for being anti-gay or whatever, but, what are you going to boycott every corporation because they're all terrible? And then, Coca-Cola actually had death squads. So it's like, I think that's a little bit worse than having a CEO that's not pro-gay marriage,
Yeah. I like Chick-fil-A. Actually like Chick-fil-A.
I like Chick-fil-A. I like their sandwiches and their chicken tenders and stuff, so I still go there. But also, did you hear about what Nike is doing recently with their whole Colin Kaepernick campaign?
Yeah, I've noticed that, and I guess there's two sides to that. I don't really like... People are defending that sponsorship, Colin Kaepernick, because of his movement in the NFL to protest but the problem is Nike is not squeaky clean by any means. So
it's like if they actually cared about justice, wouldn't they want economic justice for their employees?
Yes. Yeah. The child labor and slave labor that they use for their products. Yeah. So
I think that they've done their calculations, and I think that they've thought that in the long run it will be more profitable for them to stand up for Colin Kaepernick than not. But so I don't think that it's any goodness out of their hearts that they're doing this. No.
It's all about profits. So
it's all about the money, because in the short term, they are losing money for their shareholders. Yeah. But over a long term, they're going to be looked at better in terms of who they're selling to.
It's PR. It's just PR, pure PR. Yeah.
Yeah, public relations.
Well, I don't know. I think I'll kind of wind this down, but I don't know if there's anything else that we haven't talked about, or you want to. Let's see. I'm trying to think. What else? Because basically, this was just to get to know you, Max. Maximus. And so your nickname is Maxie?
Mm-hmm.
And people still call you that?
Some.
Were you called that when you were a kid? Because it sounds like when...
Not really.
No? Okay.
It just kind of developed, I guess.
But I always get distracted by your hair.
Yeah, I cut it very short on the sides. It's like a one buzz.
It's that Hitler youth look.
I have them cut a line here and then leave it long on the top. But it's funny. When I first found out about the haircut, it was called like a Hitler Youth haircut, and then I was like, but then it also had like a different name. And I was like,
it was
it's called the Hitler Youth haircut.
Right.
All I say is when I want to get it cut like this, I just say, can you just cut it short on the sides and leave it long on the top? That's basically a Hitler Youth haircut.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, but I didn't do it purposely to look like Hitler Youth or anything.
But when I look at your channel, I'm going to bring up your channel again, because when I'm looking at it, I go on white nationalist channel. Look at that guy. And he's going on about Zionism. He's got to be a Nazi. That's what I laugh about, because it looks like a white nationalist channel.
Yeah, that's why a lot of people accuse me of that, and I'm like, no, I've always been on the left side of politics.
Yeah, I don't know what a lefty haircut would be. It'd be long dreadlocks or something. Yeah. Okay. So I'm glad I caught you early in the semester when you're not too busy, right? Am I right about that? because I know how it is. Yeah. Yeah. Okay, Max. Well, now I know a lot more about you. So that's fantastic.
I know more about you too. It's very fun. I very much enjoy doing this.
Oh, good. Yeah. I liked you because I like you. You kind of smirk when you're on camera, and I like that. And then you go, you sign off like that. What is that? What do you say? Catch you later, or I forget what. I forget.
If I'm ending a video, I'll be like, "Well, I'll see you on the next one. Talk to you later."
It's like a Boy Scout salute or something. You gotta go on. I like that.
Because like my very first video, I did that, and then ever since that, it was just like an impulse thing. I don't know why I did it, and then like ever since then, that's like been my thing. I think.
It's the smirk that gets me. It's like, okay, he's got attitude here, this guy. Okay, Max. It was fantastic talking to you and getting to know you. So best of luck with your channel. And I will look forward to your videos. Like sometimes you put them out about once a week or so, possibly. Must be a weekend thing, maybe. I don't know. Yeah. Okay. That's good. Because I think our politics are very, very close or identical, very close. So it's nice to talk to kindred spirit, I guess, because there aren't many. I don't think there are many of us like that right now. Yeah.
Exactly. And likewise, I wish you the best of luck in your channel. I know that you definitely have a lot more content. So I think that I see your, well, at least you produce your content more frequently. So I definitely see your channel succeeding and going places.
Yeah, and we're not doing it. My goal is not, it's not about money at all, because I think that, like, you have to have an interest, and the truth will come out if you're interested in something. And yeah, I want to get into writing too. I think I'm more effective really in writing, so I need to do that. But I had taken a couple of weeks off because things got kind of crazy, and I was trying to archive things that were getting lost online. So that's why I took a bit of a break and had to kind of rethink things. We live in very dangerous times, and I feel sorry for you as a young person seeing the shit hit the fan as far as the rise of fascism.
Yeah, YouTube already removed one of my videos the other week.
Oh, and then, oh my God.
Yeah, and then there's also one of my other videos that when I was actually in western Nebraska with those buffalo, one of my videos was like now if you want to watch it, it's like my video on like how Muslims aren't the terrorists Zionists are. And now if you want to watch it, you have to like confirm your age or something. It's one of those things where you can't comment or like it either. You just watch
that's interesting. Oh.
Yeah, you have to like press OK before you can watch it.
Like it's like a warning. Yeah, viewer discretion kind of thing. Yeah. Oh,
and then, and then like 2 weeks ago or 1 week ago, they just like straight up removed one of my videos, and I appealed it, but it's still not up. So.
What was that one?
I forget. It was like something about, I think it was about like false flags or something. I don't know.
Oh, see, I haven't had that happen. Yeah. Like I've talked about fascism, but yeah. Oh, yeah, the dangers. Oh, that's interesting. Yeah, so you've really pushed the envelope there. Yeah.
I guess.
If you're talking about, they don't like that at all. They will come down on you hard. Did you get any strikes, or did they just remove the video?
I got a strike, yeah.
You got a strike, a community guideline strike. And then another one you got a warning on. Yeah, if you criticize Israel, and false flags, you're in the danger zone there. Yeah, I haven't hit that yet. I'm trying to, very good. Yeah, you're pushing it more than me. That's good, but they're gonna come down on you. Yeah, but
I must be doing something right.
Yeah, no, I'd say that's actually a good sign. You are challenging them. Yeah, that's good. Awesome. Let's say bravo. I'll give you the little resistance fist salute. That's good. Yeah. So that's good. Excellent. Well done, Max. Okay. Well, I hope we can talk again some other time, maybe. Maybe we'll catch up when you're not too
Definitely.
busy. Okay,
Definitely.
very good. So I'm going to end this video, but just hang on.
Right.
Stay on the line. Okay, so that's it. Fantastic. I got to meet Max and get to know Max, secular progressive. So be sure to watch his videos. He's pushing things and he's getting censored. So you want to support this guy. Watch his channel, subscribe, share his videos, and I'll talk to you y'all again soon. Bye.